Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor and a privilege to be with each of you today, and frankly, that you chose to be here. My name is Elicia Azali, Chief Enterprise Marketing Officer at American Family Insurance. I've been with this company for 3 years, and I can tell you how proud I am of our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it is a real, authentic commitment. At American Family, we celebrate DE&I every day through programming, investing in communities, and talking about it within the walls of our organization. Because we believe communities are stronger and the future is brighter when people are actively pursuing their dreams. And that's why we created the DreamBank, an inspirational community and destination and virtual that's dedicated to supporting dreamers everywhere. Today, in celebration of Black History Month, we are so excited for the opportunity to welcome to the virtual stage award-winning documentary filmmaker, Dawn Porter.
I do want to say I'm so thrilled to be here. I really love the idea that you have this attention focused on dreaming and on communicating, thinking about your dreams, living your dreams. I think it's so important for us to recognize that that is such a big part of the human existence. And so I just want to celebrate the DreamBank folks for thinking about that and prioritizing that. It's so rare that we are able to look beyond our immediate needs and able to think about our emotional, spiritual needs. So I just really am impressed that your company has made that part of its mission.
Thank you. I've captured several notes, and I just want to jump right in here. You shared a quote from your self-reflection, and you asked to yourself, "Am I doing everything I want in this life?" And I just think that's such a powerful but simple question that we can ask ourselves every day. I mean, you are so accomplished. Your work has been on HBO, PBS, Discovery, Netflix, going on Apple. But there was this is just a chapter of your life. You just started this in 2013. Can you talk a bit more around how you cultivated that passion, for directing and filmmaking and connecting those stories, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I think the way I was raised is you have to earn your praise. You don't just expect it. And so I did not call myself a director for far too long. I felt like I have to earn this. I had already made a film at the time I started saying I'm a director. And I think that was the wrong thing to do, because I think there are some people who will just pick up an iPhone and then they're call themselves a director. Giving myself the freedom of the label was part of taking some power. And I respected the job of director too much to assume it before I thought I had earned it. But I think I waited a bit too long. And I think that you should be self-reflective and self-aware enough to claim what you're actually doing. And so I can remember the first time, someone said, "Well, why do you think you can do this?" People would just say that to you out loud. Why do you think you can do this? And I had to think about that question. I had to think about what gave somebody else the right to ask me if I could do it. Somebody who was not a person who was buying anything from me or giving me anything, somebody who was just a colleague. And I said, well, I think I'm good at it. I think I'm good at, I thought, it was very important, the first project I chose, because it was Gideon's Army, came out in 2013. It was about some young public defenders working in the Deep South. And they were, the question that public defenders get a lot is, how can you do that job? How can you represent somebody who may have done a terrible thing? And I had that question myself. And I thought, as a lawyer, as a Black woman, I am so used to being questioned that I don't push back on the questioners why you have the right to question me. And I wanted to present these young people who were so talented, but were really questioning themselves. Were they up to the challenge? And actually, if you want to, we could play the clip of Brandy, and I'll set this up for you a little bit. So this is from my first film. And, I mentioned I was a lawyer, and I found these public defenders through a contact at the Ford Foundation, wonderful woman, Kirsten Levinson, who encouraged me so much, Black woman. And she said, I said, I'm really interested in why these young people are doing this job and how they make it through with what they're up against. And so she said, well, go tell that story, go talk to them, go find it out. And what I saw and what I tried to bring to my filmmaking was, and this came from ABC, is how do you make somebody who's never been in this situation not only understand, but care? And for me, like, that was the heart of storytelling. So if you want to play that clip, I can talk to you a little bit more about Brandy.
Today is my 30th birthday. Woo-hoo! I'm so glad you made it! My dad came up from Florida. I've been in Atlanta for about 2.5 years, and he's never come, so it's amazing. Okay, that's good. Danielle, I need one with me and my daddy. Okay, go. Turn it the long way. You gotta get my figure, Danielle. Come on.
No, I'm gonna try and get
All right, 1, 2, 3.
At any point you get nervous and you feel like you want to hold on to something, grab your harness right here.
Right here?
Yeah, just don't grab my hands.
Okay, because then we can't pull the parachute.
Because, yeah, then I can't open the parachute.
Don't you worry, I won't grab your hands. You gonna scream, Daddy?
Yeah.
Now I'm nervous. Excited, but nervous.
Oh, yeah.
My hope for my daughter is to be happy. I look up to her because she believes in helping people. And when you got a person that believes in helping people, you cannot fail. I don't care how much you feel like you fail. Failure is when you stop dreaming. She never stopped dreaming.
Wow, Dawn. I mean, that was a perfect clip. I wrote down, failure is when you stop dreaming. Is that a word? That is a word that is so powerful, and such a bold moment that was captured there, from the relationship between the father and the daughter, and it's just the storytelling behind it. It requires bravery from you to tell these stories. Can you talk about how do you view your role in telling these bold, powerful stories, and like what guides you? What's your North Star?
I think one of the reasons I wanted to play that clip is, I don't know how familiar people are with documentaries, but when you think about documentaries, that is a documentary about a public defender going into her first big trial. And that might not be what you think about in documentary storytelling. But if you think about all the things that you, Elicia, got out of that 1 minute and 30-second clip, you saw her father's love for her nervousness because she thinks she's a failure because she's not doing everything she wants to do, and how he sees her as a hero. Mm. And all of that married. So documentary storytelling gives you the option to creatively think about If I said to you, here's a brave girl and she's
Right.
going to fight for people, that's great. But you see here her nervousness, but that she's also fearless. She's going to jump out of airplanes and jump into life. And her father sees her doing that. I mean, how amazing for all of us to be seen. So I will tell you, I am actually kind of a chicken. I don't like going to scary places. I don't like sleeping out in the rain. And so I'm very interested in the people who do.
Yeah.
And,
Were
you
you
know,
on the plane with her?
no, so what that was like what we call the documentary gods. So she says to me, I was in very close contact with her about what she's doing. We filmed this over 3 years. We would keep going back and forth,
wow.
back and forth. And she said, I'm turning 30 and I want to jump out of a plane. And I was like, if you do it, can you let me know? I want to film that. And it was like a little joke between us. Then she's like, I'm turning 30. I'm going to jump out of that plane. So my camera guy happened to also like to jump out of planes. And so
Perfect.
he went with her and he said to the plane operator, can I rig a camera on your plane? And they said, sure. So we got that footage. And then there is a brilliant editor, Louis Erskine, who has very sadly passed away, Black man. And my editor and I were doing a lab, which is like a story intensive, where they really pushed us to be creative in storytelling. And Louis Erskine said, what if you marry her father? We had done an interview. You could have seen her father on camera. You notice you don't see him. He said, what if you marry what her father is saying with her being bold? And it was like, it just showed me the possibility of storytelling.
Right.
But the other thing it did for me that I didn't realize it would is it gave me confidence in that's my style, And I realized, oh my gosh, I have a style. And then I was like, to your first question, then I was like, yeah, I'm a director. I have a style.
That's very powerful. Like the realization when you
Yeah.
started kind of believing in yourself. And in one of the words you said when we opened was claim what you are, right? And so you claim you're a director, you're claiming you have a style. I mean, that's just powerful to think about how the role our words play, and how big of an impact they can make. And so, what advice maybe would you give your younger self? You talked about it took you a minute to even claim that you were a director and you'd already had, produced a film. Like, what would you tell your younger self?
I think I would say that I didn't have to be so worried about fitting in the lines, like I was trying to fit myself into a corporate legal culture that kind of cut off a huge part of myself.
Mm-hmm.
It cut off the part of myself that needed to, I said my father was a photographer. I had a camera in my hand since the time I was 15, but I separated those worlds and I didn't need to because I was, and this is me, I wanted some security. I wanted to know the rules and then I could be fine. And I think instead, sometimes you have to make the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have said, don't be so worried about following other people's paths.
I love that. I love that. One of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. It's by Toni Morrison, is when you get these jobs that you have been so brilliantly trained for, just remember that your real job is that if you are free, you have to free somebody else. And so whether it's been behind the camera or in the director's role or on the screen, you have brought other women, African-American, people of color along with you because representation seems to be a part of your style. And so can you talk about the importance of representation in storytelling to you?
Representation is everything. And I have very recently, and this is another, we keep evolving and we keep understanding our own power and opportunity. And I'm working right now on we're calling it Eyes 3. It's the next installment of Eyes on the Prize. And which is the seminal civil rights documentary explaining many important events in the civil rights era. And it's something that's very, very important to me. And so we have a group of, our entire team is composed of people of color who are spectacular. And I will tell you that wasn't necessarily the intention. I just wanted to go out, but make sure I was really looking for people who would understand the story. And these are the people that really did understand the story. And I will tell you, an unintended benefit of that is when we're in the room together and we've had the opportunity to be in the room together and looking around, we have somebody who's of Southeast Asian descent, somebody who's Latinx, like, many Black people. But there's something in that room of seeing all of us around the table, like killing it.
That's right.
But the second piece of it, and that I didn't realize until we were all assembled, is nobody's there asking, are we qualified?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize how much that was a piece of my existence until it wasn't there.
Right.
That I'm always trying to answer that question, can she do it? So, but also representation. I cast Brandy in that clip you saw. She's a superhero. Mm-hmm. And her relationship with her father is loving. Mm-hmm. And that's what I saw. A lot of people would see her. She was like, you wouldn't necessarily, that would not necessarily be the thing that they would highlight. Right. Is her power. And I am looking for those things that are truthful, but also part of the story. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's, so I don't believe that you have to be the same race to tell somebody's story. I don't think that that's the lesson. The lesson is to understand what prejudgments you might bring and to make sure you're looking for them, to make sure you're looking to break out of them so that you're not limiting yourself. And if you don't feel like you can really solve for your blind spots, make your whole team, people who can help you get to the, get past them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Dawn, you've had multiple, successful careers or experiences. Obviously we've talked about your law career. You're a, award-winning documentary director. You're also a mother as well, a family member, a sister. I'm sure there's the list of things. Talk about, your definition of success. And was there a particular moment where you said to yourself, like, yeah, I'm successful. What does that mean to you?
There are a lot. There's going into a project and knowing I know exactly what I want to do here. There's going into a project and saying, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. I think a very, very important thing to me is I have two sons, is having them see me try. Mm-hmm. And, particularly the problems are just different now. They're just bigger. The bigger platform means, more pressure. But in the very early days, I was able to bring my kids to Sundance Film Festival to see a premiere. And we're on the plane, and this, my younger son was probably 7 at the time, was sitting next to this like kind of white guy in his 30s, like who was going skiing. And I heard them talking. I was sitting in front of my kid, and he was like, "Hey, so what are you doing? You going to Sundance? And what are you going to do?" And he goes, "Well, I'm going to take a ski lesson, and my mom has a film in the film festival." So, and so casual. And, it just like he my 7-year-old understood that was a big thing. Right. So there was that. And then I have a very favorite story, which is like a lot of working parents, you have a lot of guilt about if you're not home, are you doing some harm to your kid or something like that. And so I had like taken off a day from work. I was going to host the play date. If it like broke me in half, I was going to be the play date host.
I've been there.
So my son was there. We were having the play date, and I hear them talking. My son was probably 6 at the time. And he said, my son says to his friend, "Oh, what does your mom do?" And his friend says, "My mom doesn't do anything. She's just home." And my son says, and this is when I was at the height of guilt of working. And my son says, "Oh, well, my mom's a lawyer." And he goes, "Maybe my mom can get your mom a job." And I thought, here I am crying because I'm not home enough. And what my kid sees me as is something that's desirable, that maybe he can help his friend. And I just thought, like, I've got to trust myself more. I love my children. They know that they are loved. Me being happy is also a part of their happiness.
That's right.
So
That's right. You've said a few times, you'll figure it out as a mantra for you. It's something that fuels you. And, disruptions, difficult decisions, they can come up, they'll steer you off your path. Was there a time where you had to turn down an opportunity to protect your boundaries, even though you might have been able to figure it out, but you had to sort of stay the course
oh yeah, happens all the time. There are some very, very tantalizing projects with very famous people, but if you can't get the access and the ability to tell the story that you want, you're going to be miserable. So I have turned down, I wish I could tell you who, because it's very famous. And it's just sometimes very famous people have big teams around them, and you can't, that's not what you want to do. And so I'm not like a yes person. And so I don't want to do commercials about people. The flip side of that is my career has, if you make the right choices, your work shows who you are and what you can do. And that attracts people who you do want to work with. So, I have the ability to work with Oprah. And let me tell you, like, she's great. She's really smart. She reads everything. And watching her work was as important to me as working with her for her, because no one's balancing more than she is.
Right.
So you kind of have to get over yourself. Like, you're not that busy.
Right. And talk a little bit about, when in those moments where you're facing those difficult decisions, like how did you overcome or, kind of make, overcome that? Or push
I think it's also Toni Morrison, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And, I kind of have had to learn that the hard way. Not the hard way, but I think 5 years ago, I would give it a good run. I would spend a few months trying to make something work that did not seem like it was going to work. And today, in fact, like just this month, after about 2 weeks, you can figure out this isn't going to work. And it's not going to work because it's not how I want to work. I know now what feels good. What feels good is hiring the people who I know can do the job. What feels good is getting paid appropriately. What feels good is having the amount of time that you need to do justice to these subjects. When I'm like choosing these subjects, they're important to me. I'm not phoning it in on anything. Like, I did 4-minute pieces with Marcus Samuelsson, the chef. And I spent as much time thinking about those with Marcus. And we researched archival from the islands showing Black people and their food inspirations. And it's to your point about representation. All of this is going somewhere, and somebody's going to see themselves in those tiny little films.
Right.
And so I was going to touch every piece of that. We edited that little 5-minute piece within an inch of its life, because it's important. You have these opportunities, make something of them. And I don't take any of them for granted, like not at all.
So we're getting close to the end here, and you've again accomplished so much, multiple careers, successful across the board. You know, what's next for you?
I mean, right now I'm, thinking about what I'm at a crossroads in some ways, because there's, do I want to get bigger as a company? Does that take me away from the things I love to do? I'm thinking about that. So, I don't know. Stay tuned. Come back. I'll see you next year.
Come back for more. Can you talk a little bit about the piece on Apple related to mental wellness, well-being? I think it's with that piece is with Oprah.
It's with Oprah and Prince Harry. And so there were two lead directors. I was one lead director. There's Asif Kapadia was the other lead director. And we started it before the pandemic. And, Oprah, when she opened her school in South Africa, she is still very hands-on with that school. She teaches a class there every year. She not only wanted to create this, she handpicked the first class of students. She went in Africa to different villages and said, who's your smart girl? And chose those, picked every student. Wow. Went to every village and picked every student. And then she brought them there, and then she thought, well, I can't just bring them to school. They need to eat and they need beautiful accommodations. And so she did all those things. And the girls, a number of the girls were having really severe mental health crises. And so she realized that, and some of the experts were telling her, it was almost PTSD. If you come from poverty, she tells this story, she told me this story where the first group of girls had been there for a couple months. They were about to go home for holiday break. And she does this, she's Oprah. She's like, I will give you my phone number. And if you need anything, you can call me, girls, right? And so there's silence. And one girl says, what if there's no food at home? And so she was, that's not what she was expecting.
Yeah,
them.
right.
She was like, so first they sent food baskets, and then they realized they needed to do more. So she's done more and more, but it turned out after several years of experience that a number of her girls were having like mental crises. And so it became really, really important to her. And that's where the idea was born for the series. And so I had done a piece on a school that she supported in Chicago, a charter school that is like these Black and brown kids from poor neighborhoods in the South Side of Chicago are like killing it academically. And it's a school that she supports. And I had made that film, and she knew my work.
Sure.
So, when Oprah calls, you pick up the phone. I was at the dentist, and I see on my phone, it says Oprah Winfrey. And my dentist also, funny story, is Black woman. I love my dentist. No, she wasn't a dentist. She was a skin doctor, dermatologist. And I was like, you can't pick up the phone when you're at the doctor's because you only have 2 seconds to talk to the doctor. And so it's this Black woman. I look at her and I show her, and she goes, oh my God, you have to take that.
I mean, Dawn, you have Oprah in your contact list. Let's just stop there.
I know. I can call her. My kids are like, flex much. So
It's a major flex. So we are near the end. I have one more question. We've talked a lot about dreams. This event is for the DreamBank. And it's really because we believe in the power of transformative dreams. Just think about that person in the audience who's really, contemplating pursuing their next dream. What message do you want to leave with them today?
I think it's really important to think about the end goal as you think it is today, but think about what can you do tomorrow? And it's John Lewis who said that to me. He was like, I spent a year filming with him, following him around the country. And during this year, I would say to him, Mr. Lewis, I'm so worried about this. I'm so worried about that. And he would basically say some version of, there's always something you can do to get to where you want to be. It may be a small step, but it's a step.
Yeah.
And don't forget to appreciate taking those small steps. So I would say, like, don't be frustrated if you're not doing exactly the thing, you know, appreciate yourself in taking those small steps. But the first thing is to claim it. You got to claim your dream. You got to say it out loud. Say it out loud. I want to do this. Even if you think it's too bold or too crazy or too scary, just say it out loud. And then you can work backwards to how to get there. But you can't get there if you don't know where you're going.
You can't get there if you don't know where you're going. I love that. It has been my honor to be with you this afternoon and hearing your story and your advice and counsel and just feeling your energy through the screen. It's just been everything. So just thank you so much. And, you know, we look forward to continue to celebrate Black culture this month, but not just this month. We're going to do it year round because that's how we do at American Family. And so in April, we'll be hosting a 4-week special on Black excellence. So stay tuned for more. And to all of you who tuned in with us today, just a big thank you on behalf of American Family Insurance. Until then, keep dreaming fearlessly.